What's his name?
Oh
Roy?
yeah.
He's
Well,
getting
it's
mad
hard.
at
I mean, the
you.
traffic out there in LA is like intense.
Yeah, isn't she the closest one to us? We've all come the farthest. She's got
Okay.
notes.
Oh yeah. I mean, what are you doing?
I know, New York,
All
LA.
right.
It's kind of
Yeah.
very similar.
Welcome, everybody. So, these joint info sessions are something that we've been doing for a few. Actually, how many years have you guys been doing it now?
It's probably been about like 8 or 9
Okay.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before I
Because
was
Steve
here.
Doherty used to do it
Oh.
before me.
So we feel like our programs are all very different, and we're not competing against each other as much as just offering different ways for people to gain more skills in reporting and journalism. So that's why we come together and tell you about our different programs, so you can get a better sense of which one might be right for you. So I'm Camille Couet. I'm Director of Admissions for Berkeley Journalism, where we are today. And so what we'll do is we'll just first go down the line and give a 5-minute overview of our individual programs. So we will start with Columbia.
All right, we're gonna skip. We're gonna go all the way to the end.
Yes.
That's good. That's good. Welcome everyone. Thanks for coming. My name is Brett Sion. I'm the Associate Director of Admissions for the Columbia Journalism School. So let me give you a brief overview of kind of who we are and what we do. We have a couple different master's programs. One, I'll kind of go backwards to what might be least relevant to what might be most relevant for you. We have a Master of Arts program for um, current journalists who are working in the field who typically have between 3 and 15 years of professional experience. It's not a journalism training program, so you do more of a theoretical study of a subject in either business, arts, politics, or science. So you have a more nuanced, in-depth understanding of that subject. You go back out into the field to report. In about 3 sentences, that's what the MA program is. It's a 9-month program. Our journalism training program is the MS. It's a Master of Science. There's a part-time and a full-time option to that. Part-time, it takes 2 years, but full-time, which is the traditional route, is a 10-month program. It starts in August and ends in May. There is also a dual degree with computer science that we have with that. You do have to have a computer science background. For next year are starting a data journalism program, and that's going to be a 12-month program as part of the MS. And then we have 2 other specialization areas in investigative journalism and documentary filmmaking. The investigative program is part of the 10 months, and the documentary is a 3rd semester. So that does add a couple extra months on. So there's 3 semesters with that. The emphasis in all of our programs is writing, reporting, storytelling. We have offered a lot of classes over the last couple of years in new media, digital media, now this data journalism degree, but the common thread throughout any course you would take with us is writing, reporting, and storytelling. You'll spend the vast majority of your time going around New York City on a daily basis covering news. It's very fast-paced, experiential, hands-on, but we really try to emphasize getting our students out there and using the city as our classroom. We like to say, if you can learn to cover news in New York City, it's really unlike any other place. So if you can do it there, you can do it anywhere. And I think there is some sort of song that might have some lyrics to that. But and like I said, emphasizing the writing and the reporting is at the heart of what we do. Employers have told us that they love that students have these technical skills and they're able to use data and they have the ability to put things online and use social media to tell stories, but kind of at the heart of everything that they need from students that we hear is the writing and the reporting. So that's really what we try to emphasize. Most students are given a beat somewhere in the city. It could be a particular neighborhood in Brooklyn, the Bronx, somewhere in Manhattan, or you might be given a particular topic like immigration, courts, something like that, and that would be a lot of what your emphasis would cover in the first part of the first semester. So some things you'd be assigned along the way. There's also history, business, law, ethics courses that you take. Then we also have courses, especially in the second semester, which we call seminars, which are offer that you have about 20 different options to choose from. Some are more topical based, if you want to be in TV, if you want to be in newspaper, if you want to be in radio, or if you see yourself working in a particular type of more of a topical based journalism like international reporting or sports reporting. So there's classes that you can choose to kind of steer your career to wherever you see it headed. So That's the kind of emphasis that we have is a hard news journalism program. We don't cover anything related to marketing, advertising, public relations. We're solely a hard news journalism program that trains reporters in writing and reporting, and doing it in a very hands-on way.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay. Do I need to move the mic? Yeah, I think it's okay.
Yeah.
So my name is Melissa Sarsla, and I'm an assistant director of graduate admissions at Medill at Northwestern University. And I'm also a 2010 alum of the program. So I did my undergrad and my grad at Medill. So our program is 1 year long. Northwestern's unique in that we are on the quarter system, and not solely unique, but it is a little different from most schools. So the quarters are about 10 weeks long, so about 3 months. And so within the 1 year, you're going to have 4 quarters. So you can have 2 different starts to your program, which makes our program a bit different as well. So we have our summer quarter, which for us is mid-June, and then our fall quarter, which is mid-September. So when you apply to our program, you're going to pick a specialization program, and that's basically going to give you priority access to classes within that specialization, different experiences within that specialization, co-curricular things, access to mentors, guest speakers, trips, a lot of different cool things. So if you apply for the summer, we have our reporting focus, content producing focus specializations, which are business, money, and markets, health, environment, and science, politics, and national security, social justice, investigative reporting, and sports media. And then we have 2 programs that are less reporting focused, but more tangential to media and kind of explore different areas. So one is our media innovation and entrepreneurship specialization, and then the other is our media strategy and leadership program. So the media innovation and entrepreneurship program is basically a startup incubator. So it's very product development focused. It's very much on launching a media startup, launching a media product. You're taking classes in coding and product design and the business of startups. We have our space in San Francisco that is about a year or 2 old now. So you will spend your fall quarter, your second quarter here for 3 months. You'll be doing a practicum with different companies in the city. We've been with the Center for Investigative Reporting, a different radio station. So there's a lot of different things that you could be doing. And then you would come back to Chicago and spend 6 months launching your company with a group. So you'd come up with your idea, you'd come up with the business plan, you develop the product, you work with students in Kellogg, which is our business school, and then also engineers as well. So that's a bit unique. And then media strategy and leadership is really looking at the industry as a whole and more as kind of from a research focus in terms of what strategies are working, what are media companies doing. You could kind of think of it as being kind of the internal consultant for your company, kind of having that knowledge about what works, what doesn't work, if you're interested in more of a leadership role. So then in the fall, we have our storytelling method specific specializations, which are video and broadcast, and then magazine. So you pick which one you want and then make sure that you're picking the right quarter that you start in. So we have our space in San Francisco, like I said. Northwestern University is in Evanston, which is a northern suburb of Chicago. It has a border with Chicago, so we're just outside the city. But you would be spending most of your time in downtown Chicago, where we have our space, which is just graduate students. And then we have our newsroom in Washington, D.C. as well. So if you're in politics and national security, you're going to spend 3 months in Chicago, 9 months in D.C. And then the other programs, you would be able to go to DC or San Francisco as you like. So DC is very much reporting on Capitol Hill, reporting from the White House, being a credentialed reporter. You can imagine all the things our students have been doing lately. But you kind of have all these different options available to you. And then the program, the first kind of 6 months of the program are going to be foundational, reporting, writing, coding, video. All our students take video and interactive journalism classes. And then you decide if you want to you kind of make your focus video, magazine, news reporting, whatever it might be, interactive. And then we also have our Medill Explorers program. So every February, we have a week where we don't have classes and everybody goes on a trip. And so this might be a reporting focused trip. It might be a networking focused trip. For this upcoming year, we have students going to Seoul to cover the Winter Olympics with J.A. Adande, who is now the director of sports journalism at Medill, and he's an alum. We have students going to Cuba, Puerto Rico, South Africa, France, and Germany. They're going to Bodega Bay to do environmental reporting. They're going to spend time with an indigenous community in the U.S. So you'll take a class that is part of this as well. So it'll prepare you for the trip. You go on the trip in the middle of the quarter and then come back and complete your work. It might be a documentary, it might be a long form piece, whatever it might be. And then your fourth quarter is your capstone project, your thesis project. So that could be doing a long form narrative project, it could be doing a documentary, it could be being in DC, it could be being in San Francisco. There's a lot of different options. And so everyone's fourth quarter kind of looks a little bit different based on your interests. But that's kind of what the year would look like. And then we'd have other opportunities for you to travel as well. We've had students go to the EU, to India, to China, to just all Germany is a recent one. And then we also have a global residency program. So if you're really interested in international reporting, you could do an additional fifth quarter where we would place you at a media outlet somewhere in the world based on your interests, both geographic and what you want to be doing. And you'd be a reporter there. So one of our students just finished up at the BBC, where she was in London, and she did a lot of cool stuff with Snapchat with them. So basically, if you're interested in doing something, you can kind of work with the faculty and see how that would work. She's been doing Snapchat throughout the program in DC. She was here in San Francisco for a bit, and then she was in London. So that's kind of what the year would look like at Medill.
Hi, everyone. My name is Colleen Lee. I'm with the CUNY Graduate School of Journalism. I'm the Director of Admissions. First, I'll just kind of briefly explain CUNY for those that aren't familiar. CUNY stands for the City University of New York, which is a public school system in New York City made up of about 24 universities. So we are one of the 24. Our school is located right in Times Square, right next door to the New York Times. So it's a really great location. We have 3 master's programs. We have a Master of Arts in Journalism, which is our largest program, about 85 to 100 students. We also have a Master of Arts in Social Journalism, a Master of Arts in Entrepreneurial Journalism, and then we have, for the Master of Arts in Journalism, we have a few concentrations. So I'll go into those in a little bit. So for the Master of Arts in Journalism, it's a 16-month program, so it's just a year and a half, 3 semesters. We only enroll in the fall semester. And that program has arts culture as a concentration, business economics, health science reporting, international reporting, urban reporting. And then we also have a Spanish language concentration, which is a bilingual program. So you need to be fluent in Spanish and English. And that program is the same as our regular MA in terms of the classes, except the classes will be, half of them will be taught in Spanish. And then in the internship part of the program, which I'll go in a little bit, that for the Spanish language program is, students will have to be at a Spanish media outlet, or they can work at a news outlet that their position will be focusing on covering Latino issues. So the MA in journalism, again, is 3 semesters. In the first semester, you take classes in print, broadcast, and interactive journalism. So you're exposed to all 3 media platforms. We also have a beat. So in the first semester, you'll be choosing a community district at random. And similar to Columbia, where you can have a neighborhood that you focus on for the whole semester, and you're the reporter for that community. Then starting in the second semester, you start to take your arts culture classes or business or any of the other subject concentrations that you chose. You select one of those at the end of the first semester. You're gearing up into the summer, and then the summer you have your paid internship. So we guarantee a paid internship for you. You work directly with career services from the minute you get to the campus to help figure out where you might want to intern, where you're thinking of going. Some students come in with a very specific idea of where they want to intern, and other students are pretty new to the field and don't know. So they'll show you where students have interned in the past, where alums are working, but you're not limited to that, any of those network. You can really, the world is your oyster, so you can really go anywhere as long as it's journalistic. And what's great, as I mentioned, is that we pay the students a stipend. So we pay students $3,000 for the summer if you get an unpaid internship. And if you get a paid internship, but it's less than $3,000, we'll give you the difference. So the reason we do that is it's in New York. So our school is located in a very expensive city. And so our program is full-time. And so the opportunity to work is pretty limited. Students might be able to work part-time, but during the summer, it's a full-time internship. And so we don't want students to try to manage a part-time job on top of the full-time internship. So we try to help you financially. And also we don't want students to solely focus on looking at paid internships if it's not the right fit for them. So to kind of alleviate all those issues, we pay everyone a stipend. You literally get a check, do what you want with it, pay rent, go bar hopping, it's up to you. Use it wisely, but you get the $3,000 or the difference from your paid internship for the summer. And then you come back in your final semester, you're working on a capstone, which is typically just a longer form project that you're working on. So that's our regular MA in journalism. Again, as mentioned, it's about 85 to 100 students. That's kind of the fundamental journalism program at the school. The MA in social journalism is a little bit different. We have typically that program is only about 15 to 20 students. We're graduating our second class this December. So it's pretty new. We just started it a few years ago. And that program is also a year and a half, 16 months, 3 semesters, but it's not like the traditional journalism program where you're looking at both sides of the story and you're being an objective journalist. It's kind of like an advocacy role, advocacy journalism. So students come in with already a pretty strong background in journalism, and students that are working in journalism might start to think I'm starting to want to focus more on this area. There might be a community that I'm pretty passionate about, and so they end up coming into the Social J program. And so that program, you're going in and you're focusing on a community, you're focusing on an issue that maybe there is a community wrapped around focusing on that issue, and you're going in and you're listening, you're engaging, you're working with that community, and you're saying, how can I, as a journalist with my skill set of writing, social media, technical skills, help you reach your goal, whatever goal that might be, whatever your mission is, I want to help you get there. And so you're not necessarily looking at all sides of the story, you're going in and helping that community. So some examples would be some students have focused on Black Lives Matter, some students focused on immigration. Some students, one student was from Brazil, and she went back to Brazil for her practicum part of the program. And she worked with favelas in Brazil, and she felt that they were underrepresented. They weren't, the media in Brazil weren't covering their stories. So she actually taught a number of individuals within a certain community within the favelas journalism. And so she helped them develop a website so they can get their own stories out there. Another student focused on independent music artists in a certain neighborhood in New York. So that's kind of just a sample of what some students have focused on. And for that program, you're able to take classes in the regular MA, some of the electives like investigative reporting or political reporting, documentary, things like that. So you can kind of supplement the program. They also have a summer internship. And in the fall, instead of your capstone, you actually go out into your community, whatever community that might be. And that's kind of your capstone. So, and then the other program we have is the Master of Arts in Entrepreneurial Journalism. So that program is at 4 semesters, and it would be the regular MA in journalism, and which is 3 semesters, but you add on the 4th semester. And so you decide in the beginning of the semester if you want it to be an advanced certificate for 1 semester, or if you want it to be an MA in journalism. So it's really just how you want to market yourself. And so for that program, if any of you have seen Shark Tank, it's kind of similar to Shark Tank, where you come in with an idea, just the very seed of an idea of a project that you're interested in developing, maybe an iPhone application or a website that's focused on a specific, maybe arts, culture, or fashion, or we have a lot of times international students that come into our program that want to take something back to their home country, so they might develop a website. And you come in and you figure out throughout the course of the semester whether or not it's marketable, if there's other ideas out there that are similar, and how does yours differ, but also does it generate revenue? Because the goal of it, that project is for that semester is for you, this to be your baby that you nurture and grow and eventually hopefully can launch. And so there are a lot of great ideas out there, but not all of them make money. And so you'll figure out throughout that course of that semester if your project does make some money. So at the end of the semester, we have a presentation week, and students can present or pitch their ideas to potential journalists out there or designers. Sometimes venture capitalists come, and we've had students walk away with up to $10,000 to help launch their idea. We also introduce students to different avenues where they can pitch their idea outside of the people that we bring in. And so one student received a fellowship for $25,000 working with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He developed an iPhone application called Go Baller. It was a sports application, and he moved to Cleveland, worked with them for a year, and helped launch his product. And then another student received a $50,000 grant through Apple, and he's now working with the International App Store with his project. So that's just some of the ideas. So again, you can either do an MA with that program, or you can decide to just have it as the 1 semester. And that's it. I think I covered everything.
So again, hi, I'm Camille Coué, Director of Admissions for Berkeley Journalism. Our program is the only 2-year program, at least at this table. So it's really good for people who are looking to do a lot of work to build up their portfolio. You leave the program with a lot of clips. We have a director of career planning who works with all of our students to help them create their online portfolio, and works with students to prepare them for the summer internship, which we also require. And then also as students are exiting the program, she works with you at that point too. But again, we feel like the 2 years, we're sticking with it. Everyone else has cut back, but so far we're sticking with it. We feel like it's a good length of time, especially for people who are coming in with less experience. They need that amount of time to gain all the skills and especially to build up their portfolio to prepare them for the working world. We have only one degree. All of our students graduate with an MJ. It's a master's in journalism. That's the degree. We do have a dual degree program with the School of Public Health. So people who are interested in public health reporting, it's a 3-year degree where you graduate with a master's in journalism and a master's in public health. The application is completely separate, so you have to apply to our school and then you also apply to the public health school separately. We require also a master's project. So all of our students are going to complete an in-depth investigative reporting piece on a topic of their choosing, and this is done in the 2nd year. Your master's project is going to be completed in one of 6 platforms, which you will choose. And those platforms are audio reporting, new media, photojournalism, video reporting, and documentary, and narrative writing. So the first semester curriculum is set for all students. You're taking the same curriculum, but you're split up into different sections, and the different sections either are focused on geographical locations, which is Oakland or Richmond, which are 2 neighboring cities. Those stay the same every year. We offer a class in Oakland and a class in Richmond. The reason is that the school has 2 long-standing hyperlocal websites, news sites, Oakland North and Richmond Confidential, and you can Google them and check them out. So the content, the websites are run entirely by students at the school. Most of it is first year, first semester students. So people who are interested in that kind of hyper-local city reporting, you can be in one of those sections and do that. The other 2 sections that are offered are going to be topical, and those change every year. This year, they are immigration and policing. And so we also do boot camps the first semester. And so the first semester is very, very intense. Your reporting the news class is paired with your intro to visual journalism course, which is teaching you the software and equipment skills that you need to produce the multi-platform stories that are required for your reporting the news course. So that's why they go hand in hand. So the goal is that the first semester is packed full with skills learning. You are out in the field reporting from your first week here. And so you're gaining all those skills, or most of them, the first semester. Then things open up. We require an advanced reporting class your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th semester, but then you're able to choose your courses, which is not true in the first semester. The program, though, is pretty flexible. So our faculty is really interested in accommodating students who are interested in doing different kinds of master's projects. It's a very, very collaborative program. Students work together often for their reporting projects, especially for their master's projects. And master's projects, often there is travel involved. So there is a lot of travel involved in our program. The master's projects tend to have a high level of travel. People are either traveling domestically or internationally, often to do their master's projects. But we have different ways to travel throughout your time here. You can be in a travel course. So we have classes where the travel is built in and funded. And some of those classes, the location is set, and some of them location is open. And then the other way is through travel grants. So if you're not in one of those courses, but you need to travel for your reporting, and that's usually what happens with the master's projects, then you can apply for a travel grant. The amount differs depending on if it's domestic or international travel. And you will submit your proposal and it will be reviewed by faculty. So those are different ways to travel, but basically all of our students will do some traveling. Kind of depends on your interest of international reporting. Another thing that we are really solid in is investigative reporting. So the school has the IRP the investigative reporting program, which is a nonprofit reporting center, which is actually located across the street. So they have their own staff. They have their own investigative reporters, and they do their own investigative reporting work. Most of their staff are alumni of this program, and their staff also teach our investigative reporting courses. So we do have a lot of students that come into this program who are interested in investigative reporting. And so the IRP and the school work hand in hand, obviously in teaching investigative reporting classes. They choose 1 to 2 fellows each, second year students each year to be investigative reporting fellows over at the IRP. And then they also have a postgraduate fellowship program. The investigative reporting usually also does a lot of travel. There's a lot of other classes that go into the investigative reporting. They teach classes about law because, as they like to say, a lot of investigative reporters get sued. So they talk about law, FOIA requests, obviously, and we do a lot of ethics discussions too. We have a lot of people also that enter the program interested in documentary. Our documentary program is unique from most of the other programs in that it's grounded in a journalism school rather than like a cinematography school. So the core focus of documentaries produced from this school is going to be the reporting over the aesthetics and the appearance. That appeals to some people and not to others. So that's something to keep in mind that makes our documentary program a little bit different. We've had great success though. We've had, let's see, last year, our 2016 graduate, Daphne, her film was, she won the Student Academy Award, and then she was nominated for an actual Academy Award. She didn't win, but that was cool. And so now we have a student who just graduated in May who also won a Student Academy Award. So we're waiting to see if he'll get nominated. Let's see. We also are focused on hard news reporting. This school is really interested in admitting people who want to be reporters as a career, and not so much people who want to gain a skill set in order to graduate and use it in other professions. So just know that when it comes to the application. They're really looking for people who want to be career reporters. That's where I'm going to stop. Okay, this is Allison. Allison's here. So we're just 5 minutes to just give a general overview.
Fantastic. I'm Allison Hill from the Annenberg School at the University of Southern California, USC. And I always enjoy so much hearing my colleagues talk about their schools. I really feel like I missed something really important, and I apologize for that. At USC, there are 3 graduate journalism degree programs. And as you've heard from our colleagues that are here, some of our programs are geared toward people who have journalism experience and background, whether it's in college or internships or you're early in your career. That would be the MS in Journalism program, which is really designed for students who want to develop the skill set to become journalists or to use that skill set in other areas. So the program is very intensive. It's 9.5 months. It starts with a summer immersion program, which is really designed to level you up across platforms. So most students who come to us have a skill set in either broadcast or digital or in text. And the purpose of the summer immersion is to make sure that you have familiarity and ability across all of those media platforms. It is a day of air, 24/7 reporting kind of experience, but the difference perhaps is that you really will be working across platforms. We have taught cross-platform training for more than a dozen years, and our new media center, which opened about 2 years ago, is really the manifestation of what that curriculum has really been all about. We also offer 2 specialized journalism master's degrees, and they are actually MA degrees. The first degree is the MA in Specialized Journalism, and it's designed for students who have journalism background, maybe mid-career, or as our faculty like to call them, gifted amateurs who really want to do a deep dive in an academic area. This program will not give you the skill set of working in a newsroom. You're not going to review how to write a lead or any of that, because the courses that you'll take in journalism are more geared to critical thinking, entrepreneurship, decision making, and specialized reporting in an area. And then the other half of your curriculum would be in the area of academic interest. So if you wanted to do environmental reporting, environmental science, you would take half of your curriculum in that particular field of study. If you were interested in politics or international affairs, you really can develop your own particular program. And it's a relatively small program. We'll admit between and enroll between 15 and 20 students, which you can well understand because it's individually designed. It's what you want to pursue in terms of your courses outside of the journalism school. The third journalism degree is an MA in specialized journalism, the arts. And this program is really designed for those of you who want to become arts critics. You want to write about the arts, your background is in the arts, either your undergraduate degree, you're an arts practitioner, and what you will do in coming to the Annenberg School is do that immersion program to kind of level you up across media platforms. You will have an opportunity to really focus on your writing in the journalism courses that you take, as well as take courses in decision-making, entrepreneurship. Half of your curriculum would be in one of the 5 art schools at USC. So in addition to your own background, whatever it is, you would take additional courses through the School of Architecture, through Fine Arts, through Dramatic Arts, as well as Cinematic Arts and Music. And that would round out your curriculum. Again, the specialized journalism programs are 9.5 months in length. Did you talk about admissions process? Okay, that's our program.
But we can.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's just move to that.
Okay.
So we can then just go down the line and talk about a little bit about our admissions process, what admissions committees are looking for, and how to make your application stand out.
Okay.
You want to start?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So at the Annenberg School, the faculty members who teach in our degree programs are actually the individuals who read your applications. They're also the individuals who wrote the prompts for the writing samples. So they're perfect, and they really want you to respond to their particular prompts. So for the MS journalism program, there's a personal statement, as it is for others. But you have the opportunity to submit your own work that you have done. A bibliography is also required for the specialized journalism program. So there isn't a mechanism for you to upload all of your work. You can provide some writing samples, but that bibliography really gives you the opportunity to list all of the places where you've published, as well as your resume, where you'll list all the places where you may have worked or interned or experience that you may have gained in journalism. We do have a minimum GPA that's recommended. It's a 3.0. We are one of the few programs that still requires the GRE. It's the general test, and we are most interested in the verbal and the writing portions. And so if math isn't your favorite, it's okay. We're most interested in verbal and writing. The application deadline is January the 31st. USC allows applicants to apply to up to 3 degree programs for the same term. And because all of our journalism programs begin in summer, be sure to look for summer, don't look for fall on the online application. You could apply to more than one of them. My recommendation is do your homework, so that you are actually applying to the program that is the right fit for you, will give you the experience that you want. An application is $90 each. I don't think you need us to tell you which one is the right one for you, because we provide opportunities for you to not only meet me, to come to campus. We have a visit day program coming up later this month And I really encourage you to write, to visit, or call to find out more so that you're making the right decision for the degree program to not only gain the skill set that you want, but to enhance your opportunities for being admitted.
For Columbia, we do require the standard 3 letters of recommendation, a resume, transcript. Outside of that, we'll look for 3 journalistic clips or writing samples. There are 2 required essays, a professional essay and an autobiographical essay. Then if you're applying for one of the specialization areas, that will require an extra essay as well. We also have a writing test for a Master of Science program. Um, So we do a very holistic review of each of those pieces. We don't have a minimum grade point average. We don't require the GRE. For our Master of Science program, you don't have to have specific journalism experience or prerequisite courses. For a Master of Arts program, which is for the current journalist, that is the only difference is that does require experience. So for the MS, what would we look for then if we don't have a grade point average requirement, GRE score? We look at your writing first and foremost with all of those essays, writing samples, and it doesn't have to be published, award-winning work. We just want to see that you're a good writer and kind of pull out qualities that a good writer may have in terms of critical analysis, critical thinking, creativity, storytelling ability. And then we just want to gauge why this is a career path for you. And similarly for us too, we are looking for people who want to make a career out of being a journalist. And the way our program is structured, we feel, and kind of the intensive nature of it, and being a school founded by Joseph Pulitzer, it's been around for over 100 years now, and as Columbia awards the Pulitzer Prize, we feel that we want to train the next generation of journalists. So we want to find people who are leaders in this field and want to take it to wherever this industry is headed. I don't really think any of us know where we may end up in a week, a month, a year, who knows where all of this is going. But there are certainly changes, of course, but we want people who are serious about making this a career that they want to help be at the forefront and wherever it's headed. So that's what we try to pick out for our students. People who want to really have a passion about making this a career, and then initially coming in with at least some good writing. We'll train people on the journalism part, but it's just coming in with at least a good handle on writing and creativity and storytelling.
I feel like I'm doing my solo or something. But so kind of echoing what Allison and Brett have said. So a holistic review, you don't have to have journalism experience coming into the program, though of course the more experience that you have had and the stronger your skills are, the better. We have 2 different sets of deadlines. So if you're applying for any of our summer specializations, the deadline is December 1st. You'll find out February 15th. And then if you're applying for the fall, the deadline is January 15th, and then we'll let you know March 15th. So it's your resume, transcripts. So if you did study abroad, if you have transfer credit, we need all the transcripts for those schools, not just your original kind of main degree granting institution transcript, your letters of recommendation. We have a professional statement and then also a specialization essay. So the specialization essay is a little bit shorter than the professional statement. So we want you to just tell us your story, really. Kind of what has led you to pursue journalism as a career, if you already have started that, or why you're deciding to do that now, kind of where graduate school fits into your thought of where you want to go, what you want to gain from it, and then, of course, why you're interested in the specific program that you're applying to. We have a writing sample. So any piece that is text-based can be published. It could be a school essay. We've had someone submit a play. So whatever you think is most emblematic of your ability as a writer. And then we have 3 work samples that you can upload, and those can be anything. They can be text, photo, audio, video, multimedia, site that you designed, a press release that you wrote, anything that you've done professionally. And then if it wasn't professionally, just note that as well so that we can know kind of what you've done. But we want to see as much of your work as possible because it gives us the best picture of your abilities. And then we don't have a writing test, so we do require the GRE or the GMAT. We have a few ways for you to request to waive that requirement. So if you have a 3.5 or higher GPA, if you've been working for 5 or more years in journalism or a related field, if you already have a master's degree or higher degree. So there's a few ways to waive out of that. And then the interview, you can do at any point before you submit the application, up to 2 weeks after. So you don't need to wait for us to reach out to you. You can do that at any point. And then the application is what we use for merit-based scholarship as well. And I'm sure we'll talk about more about that as well, but it's one application. So it's going to be for the program, and then after that for your merit-based scholarship as well. I think that's everything.
So you're going to hear a lot of the same things, but so for our program for the MA in journalism, social journalism, and the Spanish language program, we require the online application, 3 writing samples, 2 need to be written, and the third can either be an audio or video piece, personal statement, transcripts from every school you've attended previous to us, and we look for 3 recommendation letters. We require an admissions exam also, which is current events, grammar, and a writing test. And there's also an interview. And then for the Spanish language program, their writing samples are also 3 samples, but one must be in Spanish, one must be in English, and the third can be in either Spanish or English. And for the advanced certificate in entrepreneurial journalism, or for the MA in entrepreneurial journalism, that program is non-degree for the certificate. And so they only require the online application, there's a supplemental form, and 1 letter of recommendation. And so it's a 1 semester program that's non-degree for the certificate, so they don't require any writing samples, and it's more of developing a product than it is for writing. The deadlines for the entrepreneurial program, they only start in the spring, so their deadline is always in the summer, so it's typically July 30th. And for the other programs, social Spanish and the MA in journalism, their deadline is January 5th, 2018 for fall 2018 admission.
Because so much is similar, I'm just gonna skip over a lot of it and talk about some specific things. So one thing is that our deadline is December 1st. It's the same deadline every year. It's December 1st, 8:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I say that because they just changed it about a month ago. Every year it was you had to turn in by midnight. Now it's 9 p.m. So know that. I'm gonna skip to the work samples. So the things that you want to highlight in application for Berkeley are kind of 2 main things. One is that you are interested in reporting as a career, that is your hope and dream. And the second is that you have basic reporting skills. So there's no professional requirement that's set, but because you are reporting from your first week here, the school does want to know that people coming into the program have basic reporting skills. That is what you want to show off in your work samples. So definitely submit samples that show off your reporting skills. They can be any medium, print, video, audio, photo, essays, as long as they're journalism in nature. And they don't have to be published. So it's more important that the work samples show off good reporting than that they are published. If you feel like you don't have the work samples that you wish you did, go out tomorrow and start reporting. You can put together some good work samples that are not published, and you can submit those. What do I mean by basic reporting skills? The committee wants to know that you understand that being a reporter means going out into the community, talking to other humans. That's key. Finding out stories that you feel are really interesting or important and that are not being told. Doing the thorough background research and the fact checking that is necessary. And a big thing is quoting. So identifying people in the community that are important to your stories, building that relationship with them and quoting them directly in your pieces. And then the last element is going to be the storytelling element. So how are you telling this in a way that keeps audiences engaged? So those are things that you really are going to want to show off in your work samples. And the essays are going to be kind of the place where you can highlight your interest in being a reporter, especially the personal history statement. So, what in your life has made you want to become a reporter? Is there like a specific experience you had, or someone you met? What is it that has given you that passion to be a reporter? So those are the things that you really want to highlight in your application, in all the different elements. However, you can focus on those things. We also do not require the GRE. Um, we also require a 3.0 minimum GPA that is set by the university, and they calculate it for US citizens based on all grades received after the first 2 years of college level courses. So keep that in mind. It tends to help people. Most people I tell this to get very excited that their freshman and sophomore grades aren't going to count. So keep that in mind. For international students, though, they do calculate it on all grades, college level grades received. Okay, and then I think the last thing we can talk about, and then we'll go to our individual tables and you can just chat with us individually. But maybe let's just spend a couple minutes talking about student life at our individual schools, things like housing, living, what it's like to be a student. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, Allison.
Okay, well, student life is very interesting at the Annenberg School because our program is so intensive. It's, 9.5 months. You come in, students work very closely together and work very closely with faculty. So they become a very close-knit group, not only from their summer experience, but throughout their courses, even though they are taking different electives and taking advanced courses in their particular area in which they want to report and work in, they still are a fairly tight group. A couple of years ago, Annenberg acquired a resident facility, which is actually apartments, and it's called the Annenberg House. And a lot of our graduate students live there because contracts for apartments aren't 9.5 months. But the contract for living in Annenberg House is. And there's a lot of connection between students as soon as they've been admitted. There's some things that we do through admissions to help get students together, but they find roommates, they live in Annenberg House or live in the North University Park area, which is very popular for graduate students or downtown. Activities on our campus abound, and activities at the Annenberg School itself are simply amazing. The journalism school director has a forum, the dean has a forum where guest speakers are coming in all of the time, not just in classes, but at lunchtime as well as in the evening, really provide an opportunity for insight on a range of topics that are related to the work that you're doing, the things that you are studying. So that really adds to the excitement. If you've not been at the Annenberg School, there really is a level of excitement just in general. Students are very happy, even though they're working extremely hard. But it's really a forward-looking and an exciting place where things happen all the time. And you can just feel that when you walk around. We have two buildings. The newest building is where the media center is located. And so a lot of students spend a tremendous amount of time in that media center and in the Wallace Annenberg Hall. So that kind of gives a brief overview of what student life is like at Annenberg.
Yeah, similarly at Columbia, our students are busy. They are out in the city much more, I think, than they are in the building. Sometimes during the regular semester, most days the building is pretty quiet compared to maybe in the evening when the students are out during the day, coming back in the evening, putting stories together. I know our students say even when we're not there, there's a lot of long nights, early mornings, getting things organized and setting up their stories and editing them and doing whatever they need to do. So the vast majority of the work is field work out in the city, covering their stories. The class time is really for critiques and the relationships that our students build with the faculty. They hold on to very closely, and those continue throughout their work lives. Our faculty work much more from a news director, mentor perspective than an instructor who's just going to stand up there and lecture you. Yes, they're going to obviously work from experience and bring that into the classroom, but we kind of treat our students like it's a newsroom and you can't miss for any reason at all unless it's a true emergency on some level. If you can't make it for some reason, you have to call, like you're calling off for work. So that's the type of things we try to instill in our students. Even though you are busy, there are, as at USC, there are speakers that come in to campus to talk about the world of journalism and things they're working on and current issues and things, faculty that the research that they're doing and the stories that they have been working on. They'll bring in some of their colleagues and there's panel discussions and things happen on a weekly basis. So you definitely will have those opportunities to interact with people in the field who are living and working in New York and are in the same neighborhoods where you're living and working, and being able to hear from them and share their stories and hear their experiences and how they've been able to work through everything. At the end of the year, we have a large career expo, which is the largest journalism career expo that there is, I believe. Every year we have about 150 news outlets with about 300 recruiters coming to recruit our students. And that event is only open to Columbia journalism students, not other Columbia students. No outside students from anywhere. It's just for about the 300 plus graduates that we have every year. And we have about a 75% placement rate for our students. Because the 10-month program is such an intensive hands-on, you're really doing like a 10-month internship for us. So there is no component during those 10 months. So after you would graduate, our career services will work with you to line up an internship, full-time, part-time job. Many students will also freelance, start their own companies, work for other media outlets. But it happens often that if graduation's in May, this career expo is in March or April, that students don't have anything lined up, but through a series of interviews at this event, they may have 4 or 5 different opportunities from when they leave that one event. So that's kind of the big culmination of everything that you've been working through for the entire 10 months to get you prepared to where you may be after that. The average class size is around 16 students, so it's extremely, like I said, that mentor news director relationship is easily facilitated in a class of about 15, 16 students, and that's kind of what you'll find.
So again, echoing things from our colleagues, and so we have about 120 students in the program that start each year. So about 60 will start in the summer, 60 will start in the fall. We have about a 15-to-1 student to faculty ratio. We have classes on Mondays through Thursdays. We don't have classes on Fridays because Fridays are set aside for speakers, workshops. I believe last Friday we had probably 6 different groups of students that went to different communities around Chicago. And then after being in the communities for the day, they met for a meal and then had to, different conversations about identity, about communities, about, the Medill community. So really try to incorporate those conversations and kind of networking and a lot of different kind of skills based things. This upcoming week we have a 5 or 6 hour photography workshop. So a lot of times there'll be multiple things going on and you can pick which one you want to go to, but the program can look very different depending on which specialization you're in. So right now we have our students in San Francisco, we have our students in DC, we have the students in Chicago. So you might be very reporting intensive, you might be video focused, magazine focused, you might be working on, your startup. So the specialization will dictate what your focus is. But being a part of the Medill community as a student and now as a staff member, it's been really cool just because I think there's something that's very special about people that want to be journalists, because there's really no other reason to want to be a journalist except that you love it. And not all professions are like that. So when you get a bunch of people who have that passion together, it's just kind of alchemy. It's really beautiful to watch. So we have this awesome community, we have awesome faculty, and then the people who've been in my class, we've kept in touch. So it's been, we're 7 years out now. Still good to see them. Whenever we're traveling, we're kind of keeping up with them and what they're doing. So it's really cool. So we're really building you this wonderful network for life then, because 5, 10 years down the line or whatever it might be, and you're looking for a new opportunity, someone might be like, hey, they're hiring at the Washington Post, or, I'm leaving my job at NPR. If you want me to pass along your resume. And that's a lot of what I've experienced and also what a lot of our alumni experience, just in terms of opportunities that come up. Um, but yeah, it's just a really great place to be. And again, there's a lot of kind of travel components, global components to it. We have our own career services office at Medill in addition to Northwestern, and they'll work with you. We have a career fair. We've done virtual career fairs because people are not in the same location. You spend most of your time in Chicago. So you might have things in Evanston, but the majority are in Chicago. And because of that, our students stay in Chicago. The graduate housing at Northwestern is just in Evanston. So some students have done that, which has its own benefits. Built through Northwestern, it's easier to kind of do 1 or 2 quarters. So a lot of our politics and national security students did that since now they're in DC for 9 months. But most of our students prefer to be in the city. And then they'll room together a lot of the times in DC and San Francisco, and they find their own housing in the different cities.
So for our program, the housing situation, we have the Graduate Center apartments, which are in East Harlem. They're about a 45-minute or so commute to New York, to the location of the school in Times Square. That is typically a wait list each year. Those are for the CUNY Graduate Center doctoral students and for our students. We might be able to pull a few students off for the Graduate Center apartments. Those range from a studio to a 4-bedroom. There's also the International House, which is dormitory style. And then most of the students, probably 85 to 90% actually just find apartments in New York. So we do our best to assist you. We create a Facebook page for your class, your incoming class. You have a listserv by that summer for that goes out to all your students, and then in your class. And then we also have a Jschool housing page on Facebook. So we haven't had a student homeless by the time classes start. So that's a positive thing. Knock on simulated wood here. So a lot of our students room together, and because you're on the same schedule, so a lot of them connect. We connect you with students coming from your same state or city. We have a lot of students coming from California, Northern and Southern. So during the summer, we'll connect you guys. A lot of times they'll meet up in New York and try to find housing together. And then also a lot of our alums are looking for housing for roommates and things. So they might post to the Facebook page as well. Faculty, staff, current students, and alums are all on the Facebook page. In terms of student life, we have a lot of journalism chapters at our school. So we have the National Association of Black Journalists as a CUNY chapter on campus. We have the Asian Journalists, CUNY Asian Journalists Association at our school. We also have Hispanic journalists. So there's a lot of different events that they have at the school. We have speakers and workshops just like the other schools offer. We have those throughout the campus. Throughout the year. In the fall semester, we probably have around 230 students on campus, but once about half of those end up graduating in December, so then it's just your incoming class for that spring and summer. And New York City, I mean, you're in New York, so there's tons of things to do. We're an urban campus. We're right in Times Square, so we are three floors of a building, so you won't get that campus feel like you would maybe at a larger university or undergrad institution. You'll see our banners as you're walking down Times Square. You'll see them, and that's where we are located. We're right next door to the New York Times. A lot of our faculty come from the Times. We have a great relationship with them. Our commencement takes place there each year. A lot of our events, we're invited to their events. We host things at the Times as well. And then we're part of the CUNY system. So that's 24 universities within CUNY. And so there, a lot of times there's cross events. We'll have events at the Graduate Center. Our faculty will do events throughout CUNY campuses as well. And we're invited to pretty much all of the events that are hosted within CUNY.
So everything Colleen said about housing is basically the same with Berkeley. Most students are just finding regular housing through Craigslist and other things, but we do have Facebook page. We put people in touch. Again, alumni, current students tend to live together. Same deal. There is some graduate housing provided through Berkeley, but again, it's limited. So it's something to check out, especially if you're coming in with a family. The university graduate housing tends to preference people coming in with families. So University Village is a place that often our students who are coming in with families can find housing. But most of our students are just going to be finding housing in the Bay Area. So we enroll 60 students per year, 2-year program. So there's 120 students on campus. It's a very tight-knit, small family kind of program. So you will have your J family, And those are all the people that you're connected with throughout your time here. So all first year students have a JPAL, which is going to be their second year match, a second year student match. During your third semester here, all students are matched with an alumni in their career area of interest. Then obviously you'll also have your master's advisor and your faculty advisor. Students are very involved in this school. We have TLC, which is the leadership committee, and it is made up of members of the student body, and they do everything from, basically they're the liaison between the student body and the administration and the faculty. So they have meetings on equity and inclusion. They create coffee with the dean meetings where all the students can, they'll put aside a period of time with the dean where all the students can come and talk to him. And then some of the students on TLC also sit on our curriculum committee. So our curriculum is very flexible. It tends to change a lot year to year depending on what the current students are interested in doing. So there's like lots of surveys that go out, information is gathered, and that information is then used to decide what kinds of classes are going to be offered the following year. So students are very involved in this school, from the type of inclusion that's going on, how the forward-looking, they're involved in how the school wants to kind of change or alter itself going forward. And then again, in curriculum, they're involved in that. Let's see. Oh, there's intramural sports. So people who are interested in that. We have our intramural soccer team. That's actually the only one I know that's officially intramural sport, but groups of students get together and do other things as well. So our graduation takes place in that courtyard every year right outside. You probably walked through it. It's a very intimate gathering, so that can kind of give you a sense of what it's like here. We use that courtyard for everything from receptions to graduation. So again, it's going to be a very small program. And I mean, one of the things that all of our programs have in common is that it's super intensive. So the whole idea of like students sleeping over in the lounge, working all night on stories, I think that's something that we all share. And also being out in the field a lot. So especially the first semester, it's right now, the schedule is 3 days of classes, and then there's 2 days off a week to do the reporting for those classes. So gives you a sense. Okay, so before we just go to our individual tables, is there any questions that people want to ask the group as a whole? Yes.
I know I've had students from the Jschool as GSIs for other classes. I was wondering if there are other campuses have similar opportunities to become involved with undergraduate course or be a graduate student instructor.
So the question was, so one of the ways our students at Berkeley make money is that they'll work as GSIs, which is Berkeley's way of saying TA. So graduate students at Berkeley can TA undergraduate courses, and that's a way that, one of the ways that our students work while they're in school. So how about your school?
Sure. At USC, graduate students do not teach undergraduate students. They can be graders or lead discussion, but there are very limited opportunities for that. However, we award over, I think we awarded over $2 million of merit scholarships. So there's a range of scholarship opportunities that are available for graduate students. Sometimes you're assigned to work with a teacher, but there are very few opportunities for that. But so there would be a merit program. Involvement with the greater community of the university is very easy to do. There is for full-time students who want to extend themselves, there's graduate student government. There are intramural activities in which graduate students can become involved. There's speaker opportunities beyond what happens at the Annenberg School. But by and large, I think most students really spend the majority of their time in the journalism school and some of their time outside because there's just so many things to do.
Yeah, for us, there's not really an opportunity to do things like assistantships or teaching during the program. For us, the focus is
Mhm.
there's really no time. Our students sometimes come in thinking they like to take a class in, or learn a language or do something else, or oh, maybe I can TA or do these sorts of things. But once they start, they really find out it's not all that possible. So the short answer is really probably not.
Yeah, we have the same. So we don't have any assistantship. So all the classes at Medill are taught by the faculty. So excuse me, you'll be graded by anyone other than your faculty member. But again, it's the merit-based scholarship that would be the package. Our students have freelance through the program, and some of them have worked part-time. We always encourage you to come into the program and just focus on that first, just to get a sense of your schedule. And then if you want to work part-time, we give you all of our support and blessings. But it can be very stressful, but we understand every person's situation is different. In terms of connecting with the larger community, it's mainly through chapters like NABJ, AJA, SPJ, ONA, kind of all those journalism associations, because our students are in our own middle space in Chicago, and then they, again, are all over the place. It's really the people that you're seeing all the time are the other graduate journalism students. So you are kind of your own cohort and community that you spend all of your time with each other. So
And at CUNY, we don't offer teaching assistantships. We do offer college assistant positions, which are you would find out through your FAFSA. So you would be notified if you're eligible for work study. So that's only about 20 hours every 2 weeks. So it's pretty minimal, but it helps, to pay at least one bill or some pocket money. And some students might decide to work part-time. If you decide to do that, we don't recommend more than 12 hours per week outside of school for anything other than school outside of 12 hours.
Do you have a question? Any other? Yeah, go ahead.
I have two.
Okay.
My first was, how do you, so I was a transfer student, how do you count community college grades in the application? Just in regards to like GPA.
So the question is, how do our schools count community college grades in the application for Berkeley? It sounds like we're all similar in this. You have to submit all of the transcripts from everything abroad. Any transcript that you have received after high school needs to be submitted. For Berkeley, though, so they only calculate all the grades after the first 2 years. So if you went to school for over 4 years, usually that means someone was in community college for a few years, they're going to look at all the grades received after the first 2. So that's going to be how Berkeley calculates it. So that could mean it includes some community college, and it could also mean it doesn't. Depends on how many years you were there.
For CUNY, if your community college credits, I'm assuming would be added onto your college transcript, then we just review that as along with your college classwork. We look for at least 3.0. Our average is probably a 3.5 of those that end up enrolling. But again, it's a very holistic review, like all of the colleagues. So we're not looking solely at your GPA. We're really looking at your whole application.
Yeah, since we don't have a minimum, that's not really an issue. If you wanted to do the 3.5 GRE GMAT waiver, and maybe you got a 3.8 at one school and a 3.4 at another, then we would just have our director review it, and then you would get a decision from her. So that's the only issue with that. If you got a lot of credit from another school and then you didn't get above 3.5 in both. So, but then it would just be an individual review. So.
Yeah, Columbia, we don't really combine or recalculate anything. So we'll need a transcript from each school that you've attended, and we'll look at both individually and look at the overall GPA from both, the courses and the grades from both.
The university's review of your transcript is actually separate from our faculty admission committee review. They will see your actual transcripts and make their decision viewing the quality of the courses that you've taken and the grades that you've earned. So we would want all of the community college transcripts as well as your university transcripts.
Any other
You
questions?
said you had a second one?
Oh, yeah.
Well, my second one was, do any of your institutions offer aid to undocumented?
So the question is, do our programs offer aid to undocumented students? Do you mean like financial aid?
Yeah,
or?
I know I'm guessing for the merit ones, it would just still be
Yes.
just compared to just
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'll just say for Berkeley, I mean, so everyone who applies is considered for merit-based financial aid,
Right.
no matter status situation.
Mhm.
Is anyone different from that?
No.
I think my follow-up was in terms of like, so it sounded like you have to submit the FAFSA for some. How would that work for undocumented students who can't submit the FAFSA?
So the question is about FAFSA. If you're undocumented and can't submit the FAFSA, if you can't submit the FAFSA, then you wouldn't be getting the
Yeah, you're still getting
gov-
reviewed
fun-
for
yeah,
'cause
federal
it's-
money.
It's federal money. So even international students, that actually come in on a visa, they wouldn't be able to submit it. So they're just getting reviewed based on merit.
Right.
So, and for graduate students, it's typically only loans.
Right.
Really is what you're looking at. When you submit the FAFSA, there's no Pell grants or anything like that as you do for undergrad. So it's pretty minimal.
Yeah.
Work
So-
study is really the only option that you could potentially get.
I would just be in communication, and whatever the situation is, the more information that we have, the better. So if you feel like you can't fill out a form, or there's more information that you feel that's not on the form that you want us to know, just let us know. And then I believe Northwestern made a university-wide policy to offer aid to undocumented students, but being, representing a journalism school, please don't quote me on that. But yeah, just keeping communication.
Tweeting it out, guys.
Yeah, I would say if anybody has any sort of circumstances they need to discuss, whether it's admissions, financial aid, we can always do those things on an individual basis at any point as you're going through an application process, and just make sure you have all the proper information that you need. And we'll, I'm sure, certainly work with everyone to try to, and make sure that you know what's available to you and how to get that.
I know that like Berkeley has a center on campus for undocumented students. So we can also always put you in touch with the broader organizations at our schools who may have the more specialized information that you're looking for also.
So with work samples, do you prefer a diversity of different types of work, or do you want to see a specialization?
So the question's about work samples. Should you submit work samples that show you are specialized in a particular type of reporting, or is it better to show that you have broad range reporting? For Berkeley, the most important thing is that the work samples show off solid, basic, good reporting skills. It doesn't matter if you submit 3 different mediums, the same. What matters most to us is the reporting that is shown off in the work samples.
For CUNY, we just want to look at the strength of your writing. So we don't require a background in journalism. So a lot of our students might not have that reporting, or not even know where to start, but they are still strong writers. So for us, it's just nonfiction is what we need submitted. And just whatever you think is the strongest. So if you want to, if you have 3 samples that are all the same topic, that's totally fine, same publication, or if it's unpublished. But just really the strength of the writing is what we're gauging when we're reviewing the writing samples.
I would say ditto. If you have a work sample, like a film that you worked on, and it's not immediately clear what you did with it, just give us that information as well. But it's up to you. Whatever you think, again, is most emblematic of your skill set that you want us to see.
Yeah, I would say whatever you think best showcases your abilities. If you do have some journalism experience, I think we would want to see that. Like some others, we don't specifically require experience, so we accept academic samples, things you've written personally. We even had people submit blogs, websites, photojournalism. That all counts. But I think for us, one thing we definitely would like to see is some sort of writing sample. Like I said, you can do audio, video clips, but especially if you want to go into broadcast, that's certainly acceptable. But in any case, we at least would like to see some example of your writing.
And we would want to see writing for sure, but you can also submit other forms.
A quick follow-up for Berkeley, 2 things to be wary of in terms of work samples. One is going to be op-eds. So again, we want to see reporting. Op-eds can show off your writing skills, but they don't show off a lot of other reporting skills. And then the other thing is going to be academic reports. So from like undergrad, they can show off good research skills, but don't necessarily show off other good reporting skills. So remember again that you're submitting 3 work samples for us, and we're looking at them as a whole. We're looking at your application as a whole. So if 2 of them are really solid reporting work samples, and then you feel like you have this really great op-ed, and that those 3 together show off your best work, then submit them. But just be wary of work samples for our school that are just show off writing or just show off research, and don't show off that kind of going out into the community, talking to people, quoting people, kind of traditional journalism skills. Any other questions for the group? No? Okay. So that's it. Now we're just going to go to our tables, and then you can talk to us individually. Thanks for coming, everyone.